Welcome to the deep dive. We often hear about the giants, the huge corporations. But what if I told you the real powerhouses? Well, maybe the hidden engines of the global economy are actually small businesses.
Exactly. They're everywhere, often underestimated.
So today, we're diving into that world, the global small business market. It's this incredibly powerful, really nimble engine-driving economies all over the planet.
Yeah, quite dynamic.
Our mission here is simple. Cut through the noise, give you a kind of shortcut to being really well informed on this. We want to explore the landscape, understand the growth, and figure out why these businesses are just so crucial for innovation, for development, everywhere.
And we'll be pulling out, the key nuggets of knowledge from the research you've got. We want to connect the dots for you so you don't just get the facts, but really grasp the underlying significance of these small enterprises today.
Okay, let's unpack this then, because the numbers, honestly, they're pretty eye-opening. The market was valued at, over $2.2 trillion back in 2021?
A huge number already.
Right. But here's where it gets really interesting looking forward. It's projected to jump significantly, hitting over $3 trillion by 2025.
Okay.
And then, hold on, it's expected to basically surge, almost doubling, to nearly $5.7 trillion by 2033.
Wow, that's serious growth. What's fascinating there is how consistent that trajectory looks. You mentioned the compound annual growth rate, the CAGR.
Yeah, over 8.2% between 2025 and 2033.
Exactly. And that 8.2%, that's not just like a blip. It signals real economic resilience, sustained expansion.
That's a solid trend.
A very solid trend. And for you, listening, understanding the steady growth is, I think, key to grasping the bigger global economic shifts. It means small businesses aren't just, hanging on. They're actively reshaping economies, making them maybe more agile, more adaptable.
That global picture is massive.
Yeah.
But okay, where's this growth actually, taking hold most strongly? Let's zoom in a bit, maybe start with North America.
Yeah.
It seems to be leading the charge.
Yeah, definitely a major hub.
The projection there is growth from around $880 billion in 2021. Get this, up to $2.2 trillion by 2033.
Huge jump.
And within that, the U.S. is set to account for well over $1.6 trillion of that. Canada's looking at nearly $280 billion, and Mexico projected over $250 billion.
And here's a really interesting detail, I think. Mexico actually shows the highest regional CGR within North America. It's over 9.5%.
Oh, wow. Higher than the U.S. or Canada.
Yeah, which, it raises that question. What specific factors might be driving Mexico's faster growth rate within that North American context? It's not always the biggest economy that grows the fastest.
That's a great point. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Specific policies, maybe? Or like a boom in digital startups there.
Could be a mix of things.
Okay, let's shift gears, head across the Atlantic. Europe, also a pretty diverse market, and it's set for some serious expansion, too. Growing from about $635 billion in 2021 to nearly $1.6 trillion by 2033.
Still very significant numbers.
Definitely. And you see strong performances from the big economies. Germany projected over $236 billion, France over $211 billion, the UK more than $192 billion.
But what's also really noteworthy there is the rest of Europe. So think smaller economies, emerging markets. That segment is projected to hit over $430 billion.
Okay.
And it boasts a really high CGR, nearly 9.3%. So connecting that to the bigger picture, it just shows there's huge dynamism, growth happening beyond the traditional powerhouses.
Yeah.
Widespread entrepreneurial energy.
Right. It's not just concentrated. And speaking of dynamism, wow, Asia Pacific, the numbers there are really something else.
Always a region to watch.
Projected to rise from just over $417 billion in 2021 to nearly $1.2 trillion by 2033. That's a CAGR over 9.1%.
Very strong.
China's leading the pack, naturally over $344 billion projected. Then Japan, nearly $212 billion.
Yeah.
And India, growing really rapidly, expected to hit over $172 billion by 2033.
But again, look beyond the giants. The rest of APAC, this group is actually projected to outperform all the others in the region. Yeah, with an extraordinary CAGR of over 11.1%, reaching almost $136 billion by 2033. It truly showcases the immense diverse entrepreneurial spirit across the whole Asia Pacific. Innovation isn't just in the big hubs.
Incredible. Okay, let's move south now. South America, seeing steady advancements forecasted. The market there is projected to grow from around $143 billion in 21 to over $405 billion by 2033. Brazil's leading the way, expected to reach over 120 billion. But there's also strong growth noted in Argentina and Colombia, too.
And similar pattern, the rest of South America is also projected to reach over 173 billion. It has a solid CAGR, over 9.5%.
So consistent growth there, too.
Yeah, that consistent widespread growth across different economies is really the key takeaway there, I think. It shows a broadening small business foundation across the continent. Maybe a quieter story, but a significant one.
Okay, a quick look now at the Middle East, characterized as maybe relatively stable compared to the others.
Yes, steady growth. Set to grow from about 86 billion in 2021 to nearly 194 billion by 2033. The main players identified are Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Egypt.
And specifically, the UAE, for instance, is projected to hit almost 20 billion. It's growing at just over an 8% CAGR. So while the overall scale might be smaller compared to, say, Asia or North America,
Right.
these specific regional dynamics, these pockets of growth, are still crucial for understanding the whole nuanced global picture, focused activity.
Absolutely. Okay, now, for maybe the most surprising trend, or at least the fastest growing one, let's talk about Africa.
Ah, yes, this is a big story.
This continent just stands out. It's the fastest growing region globally for small businesses, expected to surge from around 42 billion in 2021.
Relatively small starting point, but
Exactly. But surging to a remarkable 155 billion by 2033,
okay.
and the CAGR is, well, it's impressive, nearly 12.2%.
Almost 12.2%. That's incredibly high.
Right.
And what's really significant, it's not just one or two hotspots.
Yeah.
Nigeria, South Africa, and crucially, the rest of Africa category.
They are all growing above 11.8% CAGR. That rest of Africa segment alone is projected to reach over $76 billion by 2033.
Right.
If you connect that to the bigger picture, Africa's rapid acceleration here, it signals a really momentous shift, immense future global economic impact potential. It's absolutely a region to watch for, well, maybe unprecedented entrepreneurial growth.
Incredible stories across the board. So we've seen these huge growth numbers. We've pinpointed regions leading the charge or catching up fast. But what's actually driving all this? What's fueling this global small business boom?
Yeah, what are the engines? The research points to several factors, and they're all kind of interconnected, really.
Okay.
First off, digitization. It's just fundamentally changing the game, simplifying operations, expanding reach. Think about it. A local artisan, maybe somewhere rural, can now sell globally online.
Right, through marketplaces, social media.
Exactly, reaching customers anywhere. That barrier is just gone, largely thanks to digital tools and payments. It levels the playing field dramatically.
That's a great point. Technology bridging those gaps.
Precisely. And tied to that is mobile commerce. The smartphone is like the great democratizer here. It puts market access into almost anyone's pocket, anywhere.
Sure.
Then there's easier access to funding. This is a big one, breaking down those traditional barriers. You've got microlending, fintech solutions. Capital is just becoming more available for people with ideas.
Less reliant on traditional banks, maybe.
In many cases, yes, or at least more options. And finally, don't underestimate supportive government policies. Things like regulatory easing, tax incentives, investment in entrepreneurship programs, they create a better environment for small businesses to start and succeed.
It really is a powerful combination when you think about it, isn't it? All those things working together.
Definitely.
They create this, I don't know, this fertile ground for all sorts of small businesses globally. Tech startup, sure, but also your local shop, the service provider down the street.
It empowers a huge range, turns possibilities into actual businesses. And that really reinforces the core message from the source material. Small businesses aren't just sort of getting by. They're actively thriving. They're adapting constantly. They're becoming this undeniable cornerstone of global economic expansion for the foreseeable future, showing resilience, innovation. It often surprises even the experts.
And there you have it. The global small business market, it's dynamic, it's expanding rapidly. It's absolutely fundamental to economic growth around the world. Not just a side note, but really central to how our economies are evolving, often quietly but powerfully.
It really is. And thinking about all that growth, especially in those super fast expanding regions like Africa, parts of Asia Pacific, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Here's a thought for you to chew on. What new forms of small business innovation do you think will define the next decade? And maybe more intriguingly, where will they emerge from next? It's an exciting question as we look ahead.
Absolutely. A lot to think about. Well, we hope this deep dive has given you some valuable insights, maybe sparked your curiosity to keep exploring this fascinating world of global economics. Thanks so much for joining us.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're your shortcut to getting informed on, well, topics that really matter. Today, we're jumping into the world of small businesses. We've got insights from small business, dynamics, restraints, and trends. Our mission, to pull out the key forces shaping this whole sector. Useful stuff, whether you're maybe thinking of starting something, you support local, or you're just curious about, the economy. So let's kick things off. What are the big forces giving small businesses a tailwind right now? What's really pushing them forward?
Yeah, it's fascinating, actually, how these dynamics are changing the game. First up, there's digital empowerment. This isn't just convenience, it's huge. Think about it.
Yeah.
E-commerce platforms, easy payment systems, cloud services, all those mobile apps, they let like a tiny local shop suddenly reach customers globally.
Right.
And cheaply. It cuts out the old gatekeepers.
Right, levels the playing field
Yeah,
significantly.
exactly. Then you've got government initiatives, financial help too.
Yeah.
Governments all over are actually investing in these smaller enterprises, MSMEs they call them. So that means better tax rules, maybe some startup cash, easier credit access, support programs, basically turning red tape into, well, maybe a bit of a launch pad. Makes it easier to start and grow.
Okay, so digital tools and government help. What else?
The third big one is consumers. They're leaning more towards local and niche brands. You see it everywhere, don't you? People trust local. They want something authentic, personalized. That gives small businesses a real edge, especially in areas like fashion, food, wellness, sustainable stuff. People are actively looking for them.
It really does paint a picture of, wow, incredible potential, even for what looks like a small operation. But like you said, potential isn't the whole story. It's not all smooth sailing. Despite all that digital stuff and government support, they still face some pretty serious hurdles, right? What are the big barriers?
Oh, absolutely. Those tailwinds are strong, but the restraints are real too. A major one. Getting money. Limited access to capital, high borrowing costs. Imagine a small bakery doing okay but wants to expand. The bank looks at their maybe inconsistent cash flow and just says, no. That happens a lot. Not enough credit history, no collateral, uneven revenue. It blocks loans, puts the brakes on growth, on innovation.
Yeah, that sounds tough. What else holds them back?
Operational issues, inefficiencies, sometimes a shortage of skilled workers. Small places often lack properly trained staff or the latest tech or automation. So that means lower productivity. And it really hits them when demand suddenly jumps or if they try to scale up. Service can suffer.
Right, makes sense.
Yeah.
So money, operations, anything else?
And finally, they're just more vulnerable to market swings, policy changes, think economic downturns, currency shifts, supply chain chaos like we've seen, sudden new regulations. Any of that can seriously threaten their survival, their profits. It's precarious. Which, well, raises a big question. How do they build resilience against all that uncertainty?
That really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do they build that resilience? Are we seeing patterns, businesses that manage to navigate those storms? And thinking bigger picture, what does this all mean for the future? What are the key trends we should be watching?
Definitely. Things are shifting. One huge trend is the rise of solopreneurs and remote-first businesses. The whole post-pandemic situation, just put that on. Fast forward, you see these one-person operations or entirely digital setups just thriving. They're adaptable, low overhead, mostly connect with customers online.
Okay, so more individuals striking out on their own using digital tools.
Exactly. And hand in hand with that is AI and automation creeping in. Smaller businesses are finding affordable AI tools now to streamline tasks,
Yeah.
accounting, CRM, that's customer relationship management, marketing, logistics. It helps them target better, make smarter decisions based on data without needing a massive team.
So technology is helping them punch above their weight in a
Yeah.
way.
You could say that, yeah. And the final big trend is this focus on sustainability. Ethical practices. Consumers today, especially younger ones, care about this stuff a lot. So successful small businesses are aligning with that. Eco-friendly practices, transparent sourcing, social responsibility. It's not just nice, it's becoming essential to compete.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. The dynamics pushing them forward, the restraints holding them back, and these big trends shaping what's next. It's clearly a really complex space, but one that touches all of us.
Absolutely. And maybe something for you to think about is how these shifts aren't just about the business owners. They really change how you consume, how you might work, how you interact with the economy all around you. How might these trends reshape your own career maybe? Or just the choices you make when you buy something in the next few years?
That's a great thought to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.